Hello and welcome. You're tuned into Eye on Africa. I'm Rochelle Ferguson-Biyahi. These are the top stories. Cameroon's Constitutional Council rebuffs the last of 18 petitions calling for a rerun of October the 7th presidential elections. We bring you reactions from our news team on the ground in Yaoundé. Calm returns on the Comoros Anjouan island after days of violent clashes between police and demonstrators. This after the national government and local authorities reached an agreement. Also coming up in the programme, enough about love. Where's the social realism? DR Congo's growing army of rappers shun traditional RUMBA music, calling for grittier sounds. But first to Cameroon, where the Constitutional Council has rejected the last of 18 petitions calling for a rerun of October the 7th presidential elections. Well, almost a fortnight on from those polls, results have yet to be announced. Opponents of President Biya say the vote was fraudulent. Biya, in power for 36 years, is seeking a 7th term in Cameroon's top job. Victory this time round would make him Africa's longest-serving leader after Equatorial Guinea's Teodoro Obiang Nguema Basago. France 24's Indira Ayuk reports from Yaoundé.
For the past 3 days, Cameroonians from all walks of life have watched attentively as the Constitutional Council examined petitions tabled before them by the opposition in the wake of the 2018 October 7 presidential elections. Now, despite the fact that all these petitions, almost 20 of them, were thrown out by the Constitutional Council, Cameroonians remain satisfied as they say they have been part of history. For the first time in the country, for most people, public hearings were heard, broadcast live on national television and even on some social media platforms. Now, after all that has been said and done, the Constitutional Council has taken a decision, and on Monday, the 22nd of October this year, the official results of the presidential elections will be made public to the entire country.
Well, France 24's correspondents have been speaking to more Cameroonians on the ground to find out what they think about the Constitutional Council's ruling.
I thought maybe it was going to change many things. There was going to be a change, but it was very disappointing.
I won't lie. We're all already very aware about politics in this country.
I was really interested in what's been happening. Earlier this week, it was a day I was supposed to go play football. But I didn't go to my match because I was more interested in following this. It's history in the making.
Next, violent clashes between police and anti-government demonstrators have ended on Comoros Anjouan Island after the national government and local authorities managed to come to an agreement. Well, protesters are angry about President Azali Assoumani's plans to extend term limits and end a rotating presidency. Critics say the move would see Anjouan, one of the country's 3 main islands, permanently excluded from national power. Lauren Bersticker has more details.
After days of clashes, life is slowly getting back to normal in Mutsamudu. Friday morning, an eerie calm weighed over the city. Many residents were setting foot outside for the first time after a week spent in hiding, sometimes with no electricity or water.
Our families are worried and scared. We've been holed up inside for days. We couldn't even go see a doctor.
The standoff began Monday after rebels opposed to a recent constitutional reform barricaded themselves in downtown Mutsamudu. This sparked 4 days of clashes with security forces, in which at least 3 people were killed. On Thursday, the military sent in heavy reinforcements, completely surrounding the city center. And on Friday, authorities extended an olive branch to the rebels. The government signed an accord granting amnesty to those who willingly surrender their weapons. The Comoros have been plunged in a political crisis for the past 3 months. In July, a constitutional referendum reinforced the powers of President Azali Assoumani, potentially allowing him to continue to rule for 11 more years. The opposition, which boycotted the vote and called the referendum illegal, says authorities are responsible for the latest violence. The government, meanwhile, has blamed the clashes on the opposition Jua party. Its leader, Abdallah Sambi, was charged with corruption in May and has been under house arrest since.
France's Foreign Affairs Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian and his Burkinabe counterpart Alpha Barry have inaugurated a centre for innovation and youth in Ouagadougou. Well, the project for La Ruche, or the Hive in English, was announced by the French President Emmanuel Macron during his speech earlier this year. The centre is designed to encourage interaction between both digital start-ups and higher education facilities. Speaking earlier, Le Drian also reiterated France's support and solidarity in the fight against terrorism. Have a listen.
I want to reiterate, on behalf of France and of President Macron, our solidarity and our willingness to help. We want to show solidarity in our common fight against terrorism so that it can produce results.
Well, time now to take a look at some other stories that are making headlines on the continent. A Nairobi court has formally charged Kenya's ex-sports minister Hassan WARIO with corruption relating to the 2016 Rio Olympics. WARIO pleaded not guilty to the 6 charges levelled against him. Meanwhile, the 2-time Olympic gold medalist and ex-Kenya Olympic Committee chief Kipchoge Keino wasn't present at the hearing. Keino was charged with abuse of funds on Monday, but officials says he's expected to give a further statement with a decision to be taken in 7 days' time. Libya's Foreign Minister Mohamed El-Tayez Allah has said his country is opposed to plans to set up assessment centres outside of the EU. In June, members of the bloc approved the idea of creating the centres to differentiate between refugees and economic migrants to be returned to their home countries. In an interview for an Austrian paper, Siala said some 30,000 illegal migrants are already being held in Libyan detention centres. He added that Tripoli was now working with its southern neighbours to reinforce their common borders. And authorities in Burundi have accused a prominent opposition MP of planning to assassinate President Pierre Nkurunziza and some other top officials. During an address on state television, the Security Ministry accused Pierre Celestine Ndikumana of the Burundians' Hope Coalition of being behind that plan. Ndikumana has strongly refuted the claims, calling them an attempt to intimidate him. 3 alleged members of what authorities called a commando unit were paraded on television. Next, we head to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where traditional rumba music is facing a growing chorus of criticism among rap and hip-hop fans. Now, some accuse rumba of only talking about love and failing to address real social issues amid the country's ongoing political crisis. DRC's growing army of rappers say they favour a more gritty approach to music.
Kinshasa is considered the capital of rumba, a traditional style of music now seen as outdated by many young people. The inner-city youth of the Democratic Republic of Congo are instead turning to the booming urban music scene. Rap and hip-hop artists are rapidly becoming the new cultural leaders in this country rocked by political crisis.
There are new structures, people standing up to fight, to say, yes, we can create urban music here in the Congo. 2 years from now, I think it's going to be massive.
Tucked away in this working-class district of the capital is a tiny recording studio called Kinshasa Sound. All the big names from the country's underground scene have passed through. Artists like Sister Becky, Alesh and Magneto. Their music broaches problems faced by the young population, often leading to attempts at government censorship.
Yeah, the studio was temporarily shut down recently. Why? Because we're behind a lot of popular songs. They said we were making songs that go against common decency.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is due to hold elections on the 23rd of December. Just like Uganda's Bobby Wine or Burkina Faso's Smoky, opposition candidate LEXXUS Legal has made the transition from music to politics. As an election contender, he describes himself as singing in a different key to the prevailing politics of President Joseph Kabila.
We're not just going to do what the president wants or the opposition for that matter. That's not going to happen. We can't keep quiet. It's up to us to speak out. We've got the power.
LEXXUS Legal has been arrested many times. Another rapper has been hit by censors, who found fault with the song's refrain of "Theft is wrong" and its title, "The Leader is Heartless." But despite efforts to clamp down on this music, its popularity persists among a generation that is determined to see cultural and political change.
Well, there you have it. You're up to date from news on the continent. Up next, more international headlines. Stay tuned. You're watching France 24.